So we all know that Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the greatest Jedi to ever come through the Order. And it's no secret that his Padawan Anakin is far more powerful than even the great Master of the High Ground himself. But despite that, Anakin has never beaten Obi-Wan in a 1v1. And no, the duel on the Death Star doesn't count because Kenobi literally gave himself up so that Luke could complete his hero's journey. Even in the recent Kenobi series, Darth Vader was at peak power levels and still got clapped by Obi-Wan Shinobi. And realistically, it left a lot of fans asking, how? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it boils down to more than just a master beating his student. It actually has everything to do with Qui-Gon. So in the 2019 novel by Claudia Gray titled Master and Apprentice, we get a closer look at the relationship between Obi-Wan and his master in the early stages of his apprenticeship. What a lot of people don't know is that Kenobi and Jin bumped heads a lot at the beginning. In fact, the council purposely paired the two together because Obi-Wan was headstrong, and giving him a master that didn't follow the rules would inevitably make the young man a stickler for said rules, just to be rebellious to his master. So in the novel, Qui-Gon is finally offered a seat on the council, but he asked for some time to think over his decision. When Kenobi heard the news that his master was considering a council seat, he felt slighted and assumed that Qui-Gon was willingly choosing to abandon him. This was all compounded by the fact that Jin never really taught Kenobi new forms of lightsaber combat outside of the basics and fundamentals. So the two go on a mission and end up succeeding by yielding to each other's personalities. Jin recognized that he needed Kenobi's willingness to obey the rules, just as Obi-Wan realized he needed the teachings of his master in submitting to the living force. After the mission, Obi-Wan confronts Jin about him possibly leaving Kenobi for a seat on the council, as it was rare for a council member to keep a Padawan learner. Kenobi expresses his insecurities here and how he feels his master doesn't believe in his abilities, hence why he never bothered to teach him combat outside of the basics. But Qui-Gon checks Obi-Wan and finally reveals why he never furthered his training in this area. Jin explained how many Jedi had fallen to their opponents by being too flashy or using unnecessary movements. Qui-Gon in fact believed that Obi-Wan was so talented that as long as he stuck to the basics and was unwavering in his fundamentals, he would be next to impossible to defeat. And this tracks because while Anakin is a king of flash and flare, he's often impatient and acts without thinking. A trait that has lost him a couple of duels and put him in precarious situations in the past. Meanwhile, the only person we've really seen Obi-Wan fail to defeat is Dooku, who is arguably the greatest duelist of all time. The Count has impeccable fundamentals and is far more talented than Kenobi. And just like in sports, fundamentals plus talent will beat out fundamentals alone any day.